Normally I'd say hello YouTube, but that doesn't really apply here because I put this up on more places than just YouTube. But that can work as an intro. Hello, people. I don't have a good name for people who play Dragoborne. Like the best that the lore gives us is Dragoborne, but calling players of Dragoborne is just very confusing, and I don't think that works very well. But hello, all of you people who play Dragoborne. We are here for another week of not being weekly. Our last episode was 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah. We're still trying to be accurate to the name of the podcast, but we'll get there with time.
Vacation.
We'll get there with time. We'll get there eventually. We're back. We're no longer taking like months between episodes, so we're getting there. We're getting there. So this week we are doing a different method of recording our audio, so that hopefully we won't have the massive audio issues that we've had in previous weeks. But with that said, with me today I have Bren and Leo Blade, and today we are going to be doing a big discussion about all the yellow stuff from the Trial Decks and Rally to War, and what place yellow as a whole has in deck building and whatnot. So
why not the Night Shadow?
Huh? Oh.
Why did you use my name?
Because I know you by your name. I'm not used to calling you by the Night Shadow. It's... I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm not used to it. Would you?
It sounded weird when you said Leo Blade and like, okay.
Yeah, I know. It's because I know. I first contacted you through the name Bren through Facebook or meeting in real life, and I first came into contact with Leo Blade through his YouTube. So I just associate people with
I messaged you on Facebook.
Yeah. I know your name, but I've known you for months beforehand just as Leo Blade. So it's hard for me to think of you in other ways. I just associate people with the first name that I know them under. That's just the way I am. Anyways, yes, we are going to be talking about all things yellow today, but briefly, before we dive into that, we have gotten news. I hear that this podcast is supposed to be a news podcast, so maybe we should talk about the news. So basically, the Trial Deck 4 and Butcher Set 2 that we've known literally nothing about except that they exist for quite a while now, got their information dropped. Trial Deck 4 Reaper's Gift will be a red, black, and blue trial deck. Once again with 6 trial deck exclusives and 1 promo card. And the new set, Oath to Blood, will have a pre-release kit, and of course features all 5 colors. Seems very edgy, seems very black focused. Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about there seeming to be another trial deck that seems to have a black boss card after one of our initial 3 trial decks already had a black boss card. I would have preferred if it went to blue or yellow, but
I mean, it's okay. I think in this case, only because I think this deck seems to showcase a different type of deck than the previous 3. Like the first 3 were aggro mid.
Yeah, and I do love me some combos.
Oh, you.
I do love me some trying to figure out how to make Researcher and Offering of Souls work. And would you look at that? The colors of Researcher and Offering to Souls are both in this trial deck.
So waiting for a red combo card for you, huh?
Basically. That's merciful. It's one stupid amalgamation of a combo deck that won't ever go off. Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyways,
don't combine them, please. Not in the same deck. Let them be their own decks. I have a guy here
that would be a pretty awful idea.
Like we have a guy here that won our the launch tournament. He's now trying to build that exact deck. We're combining the two, and he ran a 66 card deck, by the way, because he was playing control and a ton of draw.
Okay, but why? Okay, but why? Okay, I was just kidding around there. Why would you combine Researcher and Offering of Souls into one deck? It doesn't make any sense.
Because AKA Researcher allows him to do more stuff if he happens to draw it off of Offering of Souls. It's a really stupid idea, and he's joking around with the idea. I don't know how serious he is. I won't be seeing him until the shop challenge is Sunday, so I have no idea.
Yeah. Personally, I can't wait until my order on Card Academy comes in so that I can finally do some deck profiles, order in all the stuff I need for my Offering deck, for my Researcher deck, and to complete my Yellow-Green Angelica. So looking forward to getting that in. Regardless, that is all we know at this point. There are a few arts that have been revealed, but overall, there's not that much info on this set. I'm excited for the sneak preview thing. I'm excited for more playmats. And yeah, should be good stuff. Good stuff. All right, yeah. Then to go along with that, there's also the limited rules which dropped recently. What are our? Let's talk about our thoughts on those real quick. Anyone want to go first?
Go ahead.
I was asking if either of you wanted to go first.
I got distracted because someone was talking to me.
Okay. Brian, would you like to lead the discussion on the limited rules?
Okay, so limited rules, TLDR, 30 card decks, 10 card resource deck. You use 6 packs whether you're drafting or using sealed. With draft, you use 2 packs at a time, pass them around, do 3 cycles, left, right, left. That's the general TLDR version of it.
Yeah. One thing to keep in mind is that with both of these sets of rules, you will have a 10-card resource deck. So instead of taking your resources from the top of your main deck, you will be taking it from your resource deck. Correction.
You can take it from either the main deck or the resource deck. It's up to you.
Oh, you can?
It's your choice either way.
Does it mention that anywhere in here?
Yeah, I'm very sure I read it there. I'll go get the...
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, trying to find where that is. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Special rules. During the resource step, the player may choose to put the top card of either the main deck or the resource deck into the resource zone. Okay.
I know I read it somewhere.
Yeah. I really like this way of doing things. It lets you use some of the extra cards, in a different way. Lets you rig your resources if you want. Also, it means like you can have these cards available if you manage to pull like cards like Chromatic or Storm Branch, without actually putting them in your main deck. So yeah, I like the resource deck thing. Also, while you may have a choice of main or resource deck for your normal resource step resources, if you put the top card of your deck into your resources via the effect of something, you cannot put that from your resource deck. It has to be from your main deck.
Also being stuck to 30 exactly, and if you can't go 30 or more, it's actually specifically 30 main deck. There is the possibility of decking out if you draft an allied front deck.
Yeah. So maybe avoid allied front.
No. Milling your opponent.
Oh, milling your opponent. Ooh. As a Black Dragon player, I am intrigued. But yeah.
I'm a limited guy. That's kind of my...
Yeah. So yeah, that is the limited rules. I'd love to try it out if my locals had any product left. But I'll get my chance eventually. With that said, let us dive into yellow. Starting off, we will be going over the trial deck exclusive yellow cards before diving into the main set, starting with Bountiful Angel.
I'll jump in for this one. I guess I got to say something in this episode. So I think this is a really great card, especially for aggro, just because it promotes attacking, and that's how you replenish those resources. And unlike the other cards where it's just activating abilities to let you draw, this one you're attacking and being able to draw. I mean, there's a few others that do that as well, but I think Bountiful Angel is one of the better ones for that.
Yeah,
because it's every turn.
There we go. That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the whole every turn thing.
Yeah. I am quite a bit partial towards Sanctuary Enforcer personally, just because of only needing to have one of your other creatures swing and the lower cost. But the great thing about Bountiful Angel is, yes, it happens every turn, and that has great synergy once you've got Sunscale Swordsman on the board to have him standing up every turn at the end of your turn so that he can function as a blocker as well.
I'm not going to comment on that part because I don't think that's actually a good use for Sunscale Swordsman. But
I know, it is like you might as well. Honestly, like Sunscale Swordsman is such a good card because it's so ridiculously versatile. It has so many combos, but we'll get to him eventually. Bountiful Angel is just pretty nice. Pretty nice.
One other thing to point out is just like insert the old El Paso Taco commercial here. Why not both? Why can't you run Bountiful Angel and Sanctuary Enforcer?
Of course. I do run both, but I tend to run when it comes to copies, I will most likely always run more Sanctuary Enforcer over Bountiful Angel, because once I have Bountiful Angel, unless my opponent deals with it, then it's going to be sticking around and giving me that draw every turn. And Sanctuary Enforcer, you need to drop a new one to get its draw again. And Sanctuary Enforcer is a lower cost, so you know.
And crappier stats.
Yeah.
But Sanctuary Enforcer does also allow for discarding, which, I mean, in your researcher deck, that's going to be important.
Oh boy.
Anyways, is that anything else to be said regarding Bountiful Angel?
It's a nice 3/3.
Amazing Trial Deck exclusive card. Literally the reason to pick up the Shadow Legion Trial.
Yeah. And Undying Executioner.
Sure.
Moving on to Axion, Herald of Armies. This is quite a card. Axion is a 5-cost 4/4 that allows you to have up to 3 creatures at the fort it's at. And its trigger across yellow is when your Drago Shield is destroyed, you may move this creature to another fort and stand it.
Control decks and hyper aggro decks only, please.
Yeah. Axion is just really, really nice card. Lets you get more attacks out of your field than would normally be allowed. And it's another one of those cards that is able to defend after attacking. So it's just nice. It's a good card.
So I feel like I have to ask, have either of you gotten up to 9 creatures on your field?
No, I've topped out at 7.
I've gotten 7 too.
I had 2 Axions out in the hyper aggro deck that I built for somebody that's on my Patreon.
Nice. And I feel like the second ability is also kind of easy to play around, because if you only have 1 on the field, you can attack the one Drago Shield, and then if it chooses to move, then you just attack the other one, like the other fort that it was at, and then they're either going to have to move it again or keep it at that fort that is currently open. And then that kind of
it's obviously most valuable when later, like it becomes more valuable because like the 3 creatures being able to defend 1 fort becomes really valuable late in the game, where you only have 1 fort left. And since there's going to be so many attacks going towards that, having 3 blockers available for that fort is going to be a significant difference in keeping yourself alive.
Hidden Arts Reverse Thunderstrike.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. The last Trodeck exclusive is Elegant Fencer. 1 cost 1/1 that when its attack destroys a Drago Shield, you draw a card.
I thought this card was
Way
gonna be
better. Way
Yeah.
better than it looks. It is.
I have gotten the effect off
Seriously.
so many times.
Yeah.
Optics aside, this card actually does perform well. Don't play it in control and mid-range, guys.
Aggro only, please. Alright, I don't think there's anything else to be said there.
It's elegant. It's just a 1/1/1/1.
There's not a whole lot to say about it. It's a pretty simple card.
It's an elegant fence.
Exactly. Okay. Moving into the double rares from Rally to War. First up, we have Sunscale Dragon. 6 cost, 4/7. When its attack destroys a Drago Shield, you can stand it once per turn. And when its attack destroys a Drago Shield, you draw a card. Its Trigger Cross Yellow ability is when this creature's attack must be blocked by the opposing creature with the highest attack at the fort being attacked, if able.
Why did we not do this for any of the trial deck cards?
Not do what?
You read out the Sunscale Dragon's effect, but not the other 3.
No, I read off their effects.
Somehow I forgot. Derp, derp, derp.
I haven't had too much crap, I lost the word. Too much experience with Sunscale Dragon. I haven't had it played against me. I haven't played it yet.
I do like Sunscale Dragon. However, it does have a bit of okay, so like with its Dragon Cross ability, it's not something that you're always gonna want to have active. So it has a bit of anti-synergy with Angelica, in that in an Angelica deck, it might not fit the best, because if you have Angelica on board and you want to get any of your Dragon Cross Yellow abilities across the board active, then you're going to be turning off this Force Block ability, which you might not want to be turning on.
But then you could just drag across that one specific creature.
Sorry, you guys were
repeat
talking
yourself, Leo Blade.
You guys were talking over each other.
Oh, go ahead, Brad.
I was just saying that Sunscale Dragon's a better card than Angelica, so who cares?
Okay. I was gonna say you could always just drag across that one other card that you want to get the ability off.
Well, yeah, but it's not always just one other card. That's the thing.
How many cards do you want to cross?
It depends on the situation at that moment. Like
in the Angelica deck, you want to do like 5 or 6 at a time.
Yeah. Like it's just something that might not always be beneficial to an Angelica deck, and that's why that they clash a bit. I wish Spec wasn't dead right now, so that he could be on here, because he has strong feelings towards Sunscale Dragon.
As in good or bad?
He does not. He is not fond of the card.
He definitely won't like my set review.
I think it's definitely going to be an underrated card. I feel like people won't be expecting it to be as good as it is.
Yeah.
I have it at 4 out of 5, honestly. It does literally everything you want it to do, whatever your deck is, unless you're an Angelica deck.
Yeah.
Sunscale Dragon attacks twice in an aggro deck.
Like with Angelica, you have a lot better ways of getting multi-attack combos going in the form of Sunscale Swordsman. So something like Dragon isn't really necessary to begin with. And it's not like you're hurting for draw power in an Angelica deck, anyways.
That isn't the point with the Sunscale Dragon.
Yeah, I know.
The idea with Sunscale, the idea is that when Sunscale Swordsman doesn't get blocked and he has to stay permanently rested, then you attack with Sunscale Dragon, you destroy a Drago Shield, and he restands. Lovely.
I'm aware. But there are a lot of other ways that you can accomplish that in an Angelica deck. That's the
Frontline
thing.
Stormer.
Sorry?
Frontline Stormer.
I'm
Atreus.
not really. Yeah, Atreus. Yeah. If you're going for game, Remus also can do it by blowing up a Drago Shield. I'm not exactly fond of frontline Stormer myself.
He's like a 2-of in that deck.
Yeah. What is his cost? I forget his cost.
He's at 6, I think.
Yeah, Frontline Stormer 6, so that's doable.
Yeah. But that's a bit high, to be honest.
Well, that's why it's a mid-range deck. It's not an aggro deck. It's a mid-range deck.
I know. But the deck is already running a bunch of 5 to 6 costs, and I'm not terribly fond of putting Frontline Stormer in there as another one.
I just have it as a 2-of just to replace Sunscale Dragon in case I don't get.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Angelica, the Light of Logris. 5 cost. Sorry. I don't know what's that.
I was gonna taunt Silent Honors by saying Angelica's worse than the dragon, but he's not here.
Anyways, Angelica, the Light of Logris. 5 cost, 4/5. If this creature is Drigger Cross, all of your non-Drigger Cross creatures are considered to be Drigger Cross with the same die. Auto Drigger Cross Yellow. When this creature is destroyed, you may choose one of your non-Drigger Cross creatures and Drigger Cross it with the die that was on this creature. The value of that die remains unchanged.
I think the most important thing is that it gives all your creatures +1/+1. I think that's a huge advantage.
Too bad it can't give +2/+2 in multiples, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. If all you're doing is spreading +1/+1s, that's probably not a good enough reason to be running Angelica, to be honest. But its value comes from like how you can get a million Drigger Cross abilities going off with just one die. And
Actually,
what the combo part of this deck is.
Yeah. And it leads to, again, as has already been mentioned, some ridiculous combos that you can pull off using Sunscale Swordsman to go for game. And yeah, it's a really, really good card. Definitely double rare worthy, without a doubt.
You're implying that there are some cards that aren't double rare worthy.
It's one of those cards that's super easy to see how to build around, and for that reason, I think Angelica focused decks are going to be one of the more popular types of decks, just because it's not hard at all to build a deck around Angelica. It's very simple to see where the synergies are, what colors you're supposed to be using, and get something together. Moving to the rares, we have Kadar, Dragon Mage Adept. This is a rare 4-cost 4/4. When it's summoned, draw a card for every 2 of your yellow creatures. I want to get your guys' opinions on this card.
Well, I was having a conversation about this card the one day. I don't know if either of you were present for that, but who I was talking to was essentially saying that this card in a mono YOLO deck was more of just a 4/4 body, and his draw effect really didn't matter.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, you have so many other draw outlets in that deck. And while in many aspects it being in the main phase is a benefit, so that you can actually use the things that you dig for that turn, it's also not so great because it means you can't do any of your on draw procs in the combat phase. Bren?
Yo.
Thoughts on Kadar?
Kadar fits in one type of deck, mono yellow mid range with only creatures that are yellow. It's its own type of deck, and basically you run 3 different banners, but the only creatures you run are yellow. And so you use Kadar to basically refuel while you grab all the spells that you need for continuing the assault.
I've had a lot of conversations back over the last few weeks, ever since the set leaked, to be honest. about Kadar, because he's all about Kadar. He loves Kadar in Yellow Green Angelica. I am not as heads over heels for it, because I've been in too many situations where Kadar is not doing enough, and I have so many other draw sources that don't cost as much to go off, and even if they're slower, they tend to be contributing more, just because Kadar's body hasn't been that relevant to me in a lot of situations. I'd rather have Bountiful Angel, to be honest. Bountiful Angel is probably going to be online. It's going to be online just as fast as Kadar's better uses, and has combos, and its body is almost as good. And yeah, in a lot of situations, I just prefer Bountiful Angel. Not terribly fond of Kadar. Still a really good card, though. Next up, we have Teriel, High Priestess, rare. 3 cost, 1/3 yellow creature. Auto, when this creature is destroyed, the fort that this card was at cannot be attacked for this turn, and it has the fort burst. Put it into your discard pile, and opposing creatures cannot attack for this turn.
Welcome to the best defensive card in yellow.
Yeah, basically. Welcome to this, one of the strongest things about yellow green. You know what's great? Using Growing Touch's yellow reference to put Teriel from your resources on the top of your deck, and then hitting with Remis, Dragocrossed, and setting up a Teriel as a barrier, guaranteed. That's pretty good.
I'm gonna have to stop you right there, because that was the only match I won in the launch tournament. The deck was revolving around actually reusing Teriel over and over again. That deck is easily crushed by double tramplers.
Yeah, double trample. That discovery that happened recently, that double breaking works with Power of a Conqueror. That's kind of relevant.
Yeah, I was running that deck. It just so happens that Teriel is not really good. She also, that deck also lost to the eventual champion, which was playing Bant, and the other person who finished second, who was playing yellow, blue, black. So it wasn't that good of a deck. It was just there. It was pretty good at control. It dealt with aggro decks quite well, but it actually isn't as good as it sounds, because there are actual ways of dealing with it.
Yeah. So, to be fair, against double breaking trample, you still have stuff that's good against. You still have a good fort burst to set up against that sort of deck. Darion is really good there, I'd say. Am I wrong in that?
Darion deals with a lot more in its own way. It's
the
tandem of those two together that really make the defensive.
Yeah, it's the fact that you have access to both of these in the same deck, and that they're both so good, and you can both set them both up for Remis, and it's both of them being here. So
the only exception is that Darion can actually be played in aggro decks.
Yeah. Darion, Brutal Enforcer, is a 2-cost 1/2. That when this fort is attacked, you may destroy this creature if the attacking creature does not deal damage to forts for this battle. Fort Burst, put this card into your discard pile and put the top card of your deck face down as a barrier on the fort this card was revealed from. Darion is really, really good. Like, it rewards you for going aggro by letting you still effectively block with it. Even if you attacked with it, even if it's rested, which is fantastic. It's low cost. The fact that it destroys itself means that you can proc Nature's Touch to revive it. And its Fort Burst is really, really effective for keeping you alive, much like Teriel's. And the fact that both of these cards are just solid in their own rights, while also having these amazing Fort Burst abilities, is what really sells them as really, really strong cards.
I like that they're both rare too, not double R's.
Yeah. Like, I don't think there's really much to be said about these because it's pretty obvious what makes these cards good. There's just not a whole lot to be said beyond pointing out, hey, there's these combos you can do with Remus to guarantee you set up their fort bursts. But other than that, it's pretty obvious what makes these cards good.
Also, I think, kind of playing devil's advocate here, I think Teriel's, talking about their on-field effects, I think Teriel would be a little bit easier to play around in other decks. Where
it is. It absolutely is. It's a much, like, Teriel is a much stronger stall effect, but it's way easier to play around because, well, actually, it's just that they get played around by different things. Teriel can't be dealt with by destroying it, but bouncing or resting it will completely shut it down. However, with Darion, sorry, no, you go.
Okay, Teriel's got that 3 endurance. If you attack with all creatures that have 2 or less attack,
there is also that fact. Yeah, there is also that. Yeah. And well, as I was saying, Darion, while not being really affected by being rested, he'll probably already be rested. It will be shut down by destroying or bouncing. Really, if you want to just counter both of these cards, you just need to bounce. That's the counter to both of them.
But there's no double bounce. There's only single type bounce.
Yeah.
We got Displacer too in blue.
Yeah, Displacer is another interesting one that deals with both, but individually.
Yeah. And last, well, not last. What am I on about? I have no clue why I said last, but this is definitely not the last card. But we have, well, it's probably because I'm thinking of this trifecta of like the obviously good yellow cards that are also rares. But this is Sanctuary Enforcer, 2 cost, 1/2. At the end of the turn that this creature was summoned, if another of your creatures attacked during this turn, draw 2 cards and discard a card. I've mentioned this card a lot already. I really, really love Sanctuary. Its stats can leave a bit to be desired, but considering everything else it does, it's so good. Like, it will be live on your first attacking turn. Always. Like, if you're running a deck that would want to run Sanctuary Enforcer at all, you're going to have it online on your first attacking turn. It's the fact that it draws you 2 and you discard instead of the draw 1, then you dig further into your deck. It's really nice. And haha, my researcher deck. Let me discard my spells, please. Yeah, it's just a good card.
Let me just quote my comments here. It's a cheap card that replaces itself after use through a minor filter effect. Sanctuary Enforcer finds its home in aggro decks primarily because the stat values are low. It needs to survive until the end of the turn for its effect, and mid-range and control decks have better and more immediate draw cards to pick from. However, Sanctuary Enforcer lets you filter out the larger cards if you drew too many of them post-mulligan while being one of the barrier attackers. It perfectly fits the curve on your first turn at 4 mana, your first attacking turn.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a draw card that is completely structured to benefit specifically aggro decks. You just have better. You will always have better options for mid-range and control decks if you want your draw power. But when it comes to low-cost early draws, Sanctuary Enforcer is really the best that there is. Next up, we have Elven Bladesmith. 1 cost, 1/1. When your other creature attacks, you may discard a card. If you do, that creature gets +1/+1 for this turn. Sorry. If you discarded a yellow card with this effect at the end of the turn, draw a card. More filter for my researcher, please.
I see this less as a researcher card, honestly.
Yeah. I say that, but I don't even have it in my researcher build.
I think you have to play really heavy yellow for him to work, because I was testing out splashing him in another deck that I was playing, and I just didn't have enough yellow cards to be able to pitch for his effect.
I did the math already, and you basically want to have a deck of about 50% yellow. That to use him just kind of effectively at one copy. If you have 2 copies out on the board, you kind of want a deck of around 70 to 80%.
Yeah. I get the impression that in a lot of scenarios, I would like if I'm going that heavy on yellow, I'd probably rather just run All Things Blessing. That might just be me, though.
That's a card that I'm starting to grow on, but I still don't like it.
I haven't actually ended up putting either of these in a build. I'm probably gonna actually. Do I have All Things Blessing in my current researcher build? I'm not sure. Probably should put that in there, but whatever.
I think if it was the same deck list you posted a while ago, you had it in there.
Okay.
I will say that this card does actually have a place in not only aggro decks, but in specific banned control decks, where you really want to filter out early and just draw the cards you need. At the same time, just breaking down dice with Red Fang or whatever, just to get resources.
Okay, because I am not very familiar with Magic terms, I need to confirm what color combination is pants?
Oh, sorry, that would be yellow, green, blue. My bad.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Sorry, I was going autopilot there. I didn't realize I had said that.
It's fine. All right, moving on to the uncommons. We have Centaur Ranger, 5 cost, 4/3 yellow creature with the Dragoborne red ability that when it attacks, you may siphon 1. If you do, choose a creature and deal 3 damage to it.
Sideboard card for yeah.
I am not fond at all of its 5 cost. I do not like that 5 cost. I feel like if I'm playing a red deck, I'd rather be running Doomfire Avatar for this sort of thing.
I don't like Siphon 3 on Doomfire Avatar. That's the main thing. If
you're
playing a little bit more of like a defensive aggro deck, then you actually want this because it's one Siphon instead of 3.
Yeah, I get you. Doomfire Avatar, though, I find a lot more style because of its ability to hit Drago Shields, too.
I just like that this gives yellow with a red die ability to deal with Darien.
Yeah, it does do that. All right, the man of the hour, the card we've had quite a bit to say about time we actually got to him. Sunscale Swordsman, 5 cost, 4/4. When this creature destroys a creature in battle, draw a card. Auto Dragoborne yellow. When you draw a card, stand this creature.
Two aspects to this. You'll want to increase its stats so that it survives being blocked, and then you'll want other on-attack draw cards in order to be able to restand him if he doesn't get blocked.
Yeah. Its low stats is the main thing, keeping it in check, because otherwise it can go pretty ham both offensively and defensively. Unfortunately, I can't really think of any way outside of Drago Crossing to buff its stats on the defensive.
Buff its stats on endurance, you mean?
Yeah, during your opponent's turn.
Like you're specifically meaning endurance, right? Because
yeah.
Raises attack.
Yeah. Attack doesn't really matter, but endurance does. Yeah, I can't. Is there actually any way other than Drago Crossing to buff him on your opponent's turn?
I do not believe so.
Yeah. If such a way enters the game at some point, he could end up being quite the menace as a blocker, because he effectively can end up as an infinite blocker, which is in a deck that already has this many defensive tools, might not actually be as valuable as it seems, but this card can get some ridiculous attack combos off in yellow focus decks, especially yellow green decks, because you have access to stuff. You're also going to be running Remus in yellow green, which gives you access to more combat phase draw. You have his own ability. You have stuff like, and we've already mentioned them, stuff like Azrius, stuff like what's it called? Frontline Stormer, that card. You've got a lot of combat phase draw, and you've also got the end of turn draw cards like Bountiful Angel and Sanctuary Enforcer, which will let you restand him once all of your things are done, so that he can help on the defensive as well, which is it's just good. It's just a fantastic card. Anything else to be said?
Nope.
Not really.
All right, let's move on. Azrius, Blade of the Duskar. 4 cost, 2/6, invade red, which means that he cannot be blocked by creatures when it is attacking a red fort. It has the auto Drigger Cross yellow. When this creature attacks, draw a card.
For invade, I prefer Falthalas, the green 1-drop.
Only
I
because
do
it's
like-
cheaper, right?
I do like Falthalas a lot. I do main 2 Falthalas. No, is it 2 or 3? I think it's 2. And I only sideboard this, but it's still really good sideboard because Falthalas, while good, when you're fighting red, you have to be dealing with Ravion and Pyroblast.
And Carefree Orc.
Huh?
And Carefree Orc.
Well, yes, but that's not going to be used defensively. I'm talking about things that they can proc defensively. Yeah. And Falthalas is not going to live that. If you attack into that red fort with Falthalas and they drop one of those ambushes on you, well, good day, sir.
Ravian can only be triggered if a creature is destroyed. It doesn't trigger on attack.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Okay, just Pyroblast then. My bad. But Justicar is really nice because regardless, he has a lot of bulk to him, and in addition to invade red, he's able to give Sunscale Swordsman another attack, which is really nice, really good.
It's best in that combo deck anyways. Otherwise, it's just a sideboard card.
Yeah. Okay, Spellweaver Magus. 4 cost, 3/3. When this creature is summoned, choose an opposing Drago Shield and reduce its value to 1. Auto Dragger Cross Green. When this creature attacks, choose an opposing Drago Shield and reduce its value by 1. Now, before we actually talk about this card, I've seen this question asked a million times, so let's answer this ruling question. Bren, if you reduce the Drago Shield's value to 1 and then attack with Spellweaver Magus, does that discard the Drago Shield?
Yes, in fact, the attack will go through to the fort itself.
Okay. I've seen that question so many times. Oh my goodness. I'm sick of it. Please stop. Anyways.
I had that used on me tonight.
I really want to like Spellweaver Magus because it has quite a bit of value in that it's one of the only anti-Drago Shield cards outside of red. Off the top of my head, the only non-red anti-Drago Shield cards I can think of are this, Shield Breaker, and Adraste's Disdain, but that last one is a bit conditional. It's a bit too conditional for me to really consider on the list. So if you're not in yellow green, it has a bit of value in that you can get some anti-Drago Shield in your life, but its 4 cost really holds it back.
I think it's just like Tomar, essentially, just in a slightly different way.
I think it's worse than Tomar.
Yeah, I definitely would not put it on the same level as Tomar. Tomar, I think, is definitely better.
I have
But if you
Spellweaver
have
Magus
that
as a
yellow-
sideboard
Sorry, what was that?
card. You go, Leo.
I was asking what you said.
I said that Spellweaver Magus I have as a sideboard card.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like Spellweaver Magus as a sideboard card, as we discussed at length before we started.
I was expecting this.
Something like Spellweaver Magus is something that I very, very much disagree with running as a sideboard card. Especially because like the only kind of matchup that you would actually bring this kind of card in is like a deck built around like Hydra, cards like Hydra that allow the player to buff their Drago shields, their dice values. Actually, thinking about it, if I'd rather use Drift. I didn't think about it before, but for that sort of deck, Tomar is probably a card that I'd like a lot more for dealing with that sort of thing.
Exactly.
I can't believe I did. Thank you so much for bringing up Tomar, Leo.
You're welcome.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, Tomar should definitely be on the list of anti-Drago shield cards too.
Spellweaver can get rid of it when it attacks, unlike Tomar. Tomar can drop it, but then you still got to use the attack to break it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like Tomar a lot more, especially since Tomar also like in addition to screwing with your opponent's Drago shields, also beyond just swapping with your opponent's Drago shields, also has the Drago Cross to buff your Drago shields if you feel so inclined.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tomar just does more.
Now, I think if you don't have access to blue for some reason, then
if you're playing yellow, green, Angelica, then this is really your only anti-Drago shield choice. But at the same time, do you really need something to pop off those Drago shields? Is that really necessary? Because you already have cards that benefit from blowing up Drago shields, cards that are big enough to blow up the Drago shields, buff cards if need be. Like, is it really necessary at the end of the day?
When I first did my video talking about this card, I had mentioned about how it would be good against red, lowering the die to 1 and then attacking through a Pyroblast.
Yeah, that is true. But
why don't you just destroy the die?
Yeah. Like, if, once again, within the context of yellow-green, because I think that's the only deck where you should even be considering Spellweaver Magus. In that context, you're playing green. You have access to the anti-ambush stuff. I wouldn't run this card for that reason, because I could just Eleanor, or I could just Mischievous Sprite and just get rid of that ambush.
Okay, how about the mono yellow?
Well,
then you're not killing him.
Yeah, like I would never consider this card in mono yellow because it's a Dragon Cross green card. Like at 4 cost, it just reducing the value to 1 is not enough of a reason for me to run this card.
As I said, in a yellow-green aggro deck, you should already have cards that can defeat dice and cards that attack barriers.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I want to like Spellweaver Magus. I really do, but every time I look at this card, I just find things that it's just not quite worth. It's sorry, Spellweaver, you just don't make the cut.
I don't know. I get disappointed every time I see it.
Yeah, or leave something to. Her art stands out from the rest of the Dragoborne art, and not in a good way. Anyways, moving to the commons, we have Frontline Stormer, 6 cost 5/5. When this creature attacks, draw a card. Draw across yellow. When this creature attacks, draw a card.
Now, I mentioned before that I think that this card can be used in the Sunscale Swordsman combo deck, but the main reason is because the breaking point of that deck is when you just get run out of cards, period. And so this card can basically help you recuperate against a Flesh Shredder or a couple of despairs in a row.
Yeah.
It's
I see
one that attacks 2 cards all the time.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Next card is Veteran Knights, just a 4/4/5 vanilla. Does anyone have anything to say about this card besides the fact that it's part of the Dragon Stand combined artwork?
There are vanillas that are good, and we will get to them. This is not one of them.
Yeah. Next, we have Earthen Guard Golem. This is an ambush. Normally, it's a 3-cost, 1/5. When this fort is attacked, if this card is an ambush, you may summon this creature.
Would it surprise you that I put this card in aggro decks?
Not that much, actually. It's pretty durable. Yeah, it's pretty durable. Like, that's one of the highest endurances on a 2-cost that you can get. I can't.
My main sticking point regarding this card is that it's an additional blocker that doesn't cost as much as Axion, but at the same time, you get to attack into Ethereal and it doesn't die.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's a nice sideboard card that I would like to throw in as an ambush. Like, oh, surprise, I'm running this.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. Okay, and another vanilla. This is what happens when you get to the common. Sunscale Sage, 3-cost, 3/4.
Nah.
Yeah. Stone Skin Charger, 3-cost, 4/2. This creature cannot block. Trigger across yellow. This creature's attack must be blocked if able. I don't know what to think about Stone Skin Charger.
It's more of an inconvenience than anything, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the
how
must
so?
be blocked is, I think, the not being able to block. I think I've seen situations where the player would kind of overlook that effect while they were arranging their forts before entering their attack. What's it called? Attack phase?
Combat phase. Combat phase is, I believe, the official term.
And then they would overlook that and then leave themselves defenseless because they didn't attack with that. And then, like, I mean, that's kind of like knowing your cards, that goes along with that, but then it ends up hurting them.
Like,
so,
I see this card as actually a really good aggro staple in yellow, mainly because this is Red Fang without the resource gain, but with added removal if need be.
Yeah. I see that.
You're attacking with this anyways. It's 4 attack. It breaks ice for whatever reason.
Like, that just makes it sound like this card is not really a beginner-friendly card. It's not really a point against the card. Just have to.
I don't think it should be used at 4. I think lower quantities of it.
Okay, fair, but it's still a good shield breaker.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
The stats are nice.
Another vanilla! 2-cost, 2/3, Gold Leaf Hunter.
Surprisingly, a solid card for first turn control decks if you're looking for like early game blockers. It actually does stop a lot of aggro. And if you're like, this is a 2-cost does matter, and the 3 endurance does matter as well.
Yeah. When I opened up this card, I was reminded of in your Offering to Souls article where you mentioned that you were considering Tanglewood Menace, which has this exact same stat line.
Yeah, it was
for its endurance to eat up some Zarko Devash damage.
Yep.
So yeah, this is a pretty for a 2-cost vanilla. This is a pretty nice stat line to have around.
This is one of the vanillas I'm not too down on, though there is a way better vanilla that we're gonna get to when we get to other colors.
Oh, that's the 2-cost 1/4 from green, isn't it?
We'll get there. You'll see.
Then we have Logre Swiftblade, 2-cost 3/1. This creature cannot be blocked with creatures with 1 or less attack.
Screw you, Terry.
Card.
Yeah, that's basically what this card is. It gives mono yellow an out to Teriel. What other cards does this card give you an out to? Doesn't help against Sarge, that's for sure. It'll help. Yeah, it'll help a lot against. Well, if they don't have, what's it called? The guy who buffs all of your 3 cost or less by
Burbo.
Yeah. If they don't have him on the board, it'll be really good against red-black aggro decks because they have a lot of low-cost one attack guys. So if they have any sticking around as to defend themselves at all, this will just ignore them.
Burbo doesn't usually attack anyway, so you can use Stone Skin Charger to get rid of him.
Yeah. Then we have Sunscale Ascetic. 2 cost, 2/2. When this creature is summoned, you may choose a cost 5 or greater creature and rest it. This is another card that I'm not quite sure what to make of. Because
against Velistra.
Yeah, like Velistra is the one card that comes to mind, but I can't really think of any other high cost cards that your opponent is going to be primarily using as a blocker. That is going to be standing during the main phase.
And the one that you would really want to target, which is Tarax Earthshaker, can't be targeted.
Yeah, exactly.
If Dragon
yeah.
By the way, screw you, Zarko. By the way.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It has limited uses, but it's definitely better in an aggro deck than any other two. Mainly because it's just a temporary fix, but you only need that temporary for 1 turn.
Yeah. I think it's a card that has a lot of potential if we get more high cost stuff that wants to be primarily used as a blocker. Then this will get buffed by those cards existing. But for now, it doesn't have a whole lot of usage.
Fair.
Next, we have Rookie Knight. 1 cost, 1/2. All of them vanillas.
All right, next card.
Yeah. Okay, now we are moving into the spells. Back to the rares for a sec. We have Replenish the Ranks. 4 cost. Draw 2 cards. Reference yellow 1. Draw 3 cards instead. Reference yellow 6. You may cast this spell without paying its cost.
This is a trap.
What does it do?
Card.
What does Replenish the Ranks do?
Pot of Greed.
Exactly.
This is a trap card. Do not play this at 4 copies.
Oh yeah, absolutely do not. Do not play this. Like I think this card is good enough as like a 2 of, but do not run it at 4. Do not run it at 4. Do not ruin your every hand by doing that to yourself. It is a bad idea.
I may have done that at the launch tournament to my detriment.
Oh no!
And that may be the reason why I went 1-2 on top.
Oh no, Bren, why? Why would you do this to yourself?
Because I built the deck while I was driving to the tournament. Don't do that, by the way. Don't ever do that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. See, this card is really nice, and like in a super ideal situation, it's going to get some getting a free draw too. I hear that's pretty good, and if you can be a god and get the free draw 3, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty good.
I was arguing with someone over how the calculation of how often do you get the 1 and the 6. Oh boy. The guy kept thinking that if you have 3 yellow dice, that if either of them hits 6, then it works. But you have to discount the one where they're both 6, and he kept forgetting that over and over and over again.
Stats, guys, learn how they work.
Do you remember what the odds were?
Okay. Okay. Next, we have Allied Front. 4 cost uncommon. Each player discards their hand and draws a card for each card they discarded. Reference yellow 1 to 3. Then you may draw an additional card. Reference green 1 to 3. You may discard all but 1 card from your hand instead.
Can you believe I have this in an aggro deck?
Huh?
Can you believe I have this in an aggro deck?
Bren, you know what? I'm not surprised by anything you say anymore.
Okay. Basically, the reason I have this is an aggro deck is actually to punish control decks. They like to sculpt their hand with the kind of like specific cards that they want to deal with something, and then when they have enough mana, they'll be able to play. This screws with them.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. Yeah.
You don't really care about the Drago spots, the die reference numbers for those unfamiliar.
Yeah.
You just want them to get rid of their hand, and so I have this as a sideboard card in yellow-green aggro.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I like this card because I'm trying to build Researcher, and dumping your hand of all your spells, and it tends to help getting Researcher online. Just a theory.
The question is, how many spells are you running, right?
I'm running like 24 spells or something like that.
How many
I'm running
cards
a lot
in
of
the deck?
spells. Huh?
How many cards in the deck?
It was like 55 last I counted. I need to bring it down.
I'm surprised you actually haven't moved it to 60.
That is a concept that I could get behind.
And I know it sounds weird coming from me of all people.
Yeah. Usually I'd be the one suggesting that, but I've been pretty stickler with trying to keep to 50 because like the reason it works so well in Buddy Fight, the reason I do it so often in Buddy Fight is because Buddy Fight has this little thing called Charge and Draw, which lets you draw 2 cards by game mechanics, and when you have that, you get punished a whole lot less for having a couple extra cards in your deck. But I don't.
Yeah, that's completely fair. My only reason to go over 50 in Buddy Fight is if there's mill decks in the format. But in this game, I think if you're going through the deck that much and you have that much draw and that much discard, I don't see a problem with going to 60 just to prevent yourself from decking out.
Yeah, I get you. All right, uncommons, Dragon's Presence. This is an ambush. 2 costs, of course, to set, as all ambushes. When this fort is attacked, if this card is an ambush, you may choose an opposing fort, and all creatures at that fort cannot attack for this turn. This is basically just a worse EMP.
I've heard it puts in work.
I don't know. I'm not like. This is one of the reasons that I'm not too fond of mono yellow as a concept, because yellow does not have the best ambushes. The ambushes they have access to are this, which is basically just a weaker EMP, and because there's nothing that says this card can't be rested yet, so it doesn't have any niche where it does something that EMP can't. And their other ambush is just a 1/5 vanilla. So their ambushes aren't very strong, and that's why in my Angelica deck I don't run any yellow ambushes. It's all green. Green carries the ambush show there. And when you're running yellow-green Angelica, you have access to Kingslayer B, which does kind of what this card does in a lot of better ways. I don't know. I'm not fond of this card at all. I want to make it work, but the only reason I really see to run this card is if you're running a researcher deck and you're running Bladesmith, then having yellow spells becomes incredibly important, and this card becomes valuable for that reason.
I don't even see use for in that.
Sorry, what was that, Leo?
When are we gonna get to see this researcher deck?
Once I've done a bit more tinkering and once my cards. Though that also requires me actually having people to play with. And considering the lack of product my locals ordered in, that is a bit difficult at the moment.
When he's done researching.
Yeah, that's the more accurate answer. That's a week to come up with myself. Thank you, Brett. I appreciate it. All right, last up.
But yeah, before we go on, I do want to say
Yes.
that I don't think this is actually a good spell to use even in the researcher deck because you would rather run replenish the ranks over this.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd run allied front because of the ability to mill yourself, and then
Yes.
replenish the ranks because it's draw.
Exactly. Okay. Last up in Rally to War, we have Althane's Blessing. So this is a 1-cost spell. You choose a creature, give it a 2/2 buff for the turn. Has a yellow 1/3 reference. You can buff up to 2 creatures, and has a yellow 4/6 reference. You can draw a card, make this card a cantrip. Why don't you? And if you have 2 yellow die and you roll within both ranges, you can do both.
I haven't used this yet since Rally to War came out, but I did really like it in the demo deck.
I'm starting to come around on it.
Yeah.
It definitely put in some work in the launch tournament and did surprise me with a couple of the synergies I didn't expect.
Yeah. 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 It's an okay card. Like it's definitely not bad. That is definitely not true. It's just something that I have difficulty finding space to put in, and it's definitely not something I'd ever for of, because one thing that I always found with the demo decks is that I was getting these too often. I was getting these too frequently.
I was getting them just the right amount.
I was having the same trouble with Shadow Legion when I was playing with trial decks.
So you would run this at 3 then?
Yeah, like 2 or 3. One of those counts.
I think in the Sunscale Swordsman deck, you might run it at 4 because how important it is to Sunscale Swordsman.
Yeah. That's probably where it has the most value, to be honest. Yeah.
Waiting for a Dante Guy C-Tree effect.
Yeah.
Then I can Nature's Touch synergy.
Yes. Anyways. One last card that I actually forgot to put on our list. I apologize. Because I forgot, hey, promos also exist. Launch tournament promo, Deft Arms Scout. So 1 cost, 1/1. When this creature attacks, it gets +1 attack for this battle.
If you don't have access to anything that can hit for 3 or 4, then by all means use it. It's also a really good key card in hyper aggro yellow-green. Other than that, nah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all there is to be said about the individual cards. So, what are our thoughts on where yellow fits when it comes to deck building? Like, what sort of things you should be going to in yellow?
It's a combo defense-oriented color.
Yeah. There's also, one thing I find a lot about this color is it's a really good support color for aggro decks because of cards like Darion and Enforcer, which do a good job of providing advantage and defense to those aggro decks and rewards them for doing the things that they would be doing by default.
Mm-hmm.
And with things like Shredder around, you do kind of want to have some draw power, lest you just be knocked down to 0 hand by a Shredder deck.
Have any of you seen Flesh Shredder yet? Like, have you?
Yes.
Yes.
The deck got second in our launch tournament because
one of the first when right after the set launched and the set leaked, I was doing some TTS testing with Spec, and Spec decided he really wanted to jund me. So he junded me real hard with Shredder, and it was not a good time. It was not a good time. I basically played that whole game solely on top decks because a hand did not exist.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that is going to be all. All right, guys, plug your things. Leo, you want to go first?
Sure. Be sure to check out my channel. Link will be down in the description, and as well as a link to my novel. If you like fantasy adventure, go check that out.
Bren?
I'm on vacation starting this Sunday for about a week. But the week I get back, there's going to be some content uploaded on Climax Face. The blog link is going to be down below. And there's going to be something new for Patreon subscribers, actually, that will be coming out. So if you're actually interested in anything like that, though I'm trying not to advertise for that, you can check that out. I will give more details later.
Bren, this is a plugging segment. Don't be afraid to plug your things.
I don't know, like I'm not used to advertising stuff. I didn't advertise my blog. I had other people do it themselves. Like this is weird. It feels weird, okay?
Okay. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're already on my channel, so you should probably subscribe if you haven't already. But if you're listening to this on SoundCloud or whatever other audio-only things I put this up on, be sure to go check out my channel at Hunter Surge. I will have more Dragoborne content very soon. As I said, I have a bunch of singles coming in. I'll be doing deck profiles once those come in, and hopefully games soon after. Yeah. What else was there? Oh, right. Yes. Drago Oracle is the Dragoborne news site that I work on. So be sure to go check that out. Be sure to also go check out the Dragoborne International Facebook group for tons of discussion regarding the game. And I think I'm going to do one additional plug to the Dragoborne TCG Reddit.
That's what I was surprised. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. That's been a real good Reddit. I've been really I don't even know who this guy is, but he's my savior because I love the sidebar. Like the upcoming events sidebar is really, really nice. Like who even needs Bushroad's website when you have this? And I'm definitely not saying this because I've been I am on the sidebar. I am definitely also not saying this for the sake of Bren, who is also on the sidebar. But
I am. I haven't actually been on that Reddit thing.
Yeah, both me and Scott recommended you, and you got put up there.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, go check that out. That will all be in the doobly-doo. So with that said, that is going to be all for us today. See you guys later.
Bye-bye.